excellent. I am so pleased to have Bishop Eaton with us. She is a friend and colleague from the days when she was Synod Bishop for. I have been so grateful for her collegiality, her leadership, her vision, her care and compassion as she has served the church so faithfully in this role as presiding bishop. Bishop Eaton, we are so glad to have you with us and bring some good news to us. Welcome.
Thank you, Bishop Guffian, and you really know how to make a gal blush, so thank you for that. And so greetings to all of you in the IK Synod. I've gotten to know some of you. Vicki Garber and I, in fact, served on the church council together. But yeah, those were good days back in Region 6. But I think I want you to know as the IK Synod that your bishop has been a gift to this church. He served 4 years, which in like Synod years is 28 years, as chair of the Conference of Bishops, which is, you know, none of us is a shrinking violet. So sometimes it was an exciting challenge. He's currently serving as the co-chair of the Lutheran Christian Church Disciples of Christ Dialogue. So thanks for that. And then also for Bishop, for your tireless witness on behalf of the Islamic Society of North America, particularly when they have been the object of really some hateful actions. So in your synod, so thanks. And then one thing it's a guaranteed cocktail game that you'll win is asking people how to spell his last name. I can do it now after, gosh, how many years, Bill? Anyway, so thanks. Glad to be with you. And I get to bring the report of what you, along with the other 64 synods, roughly 9,000 congregations and 3 million people of the ELCA have been doing in the past year. Remarkable witness, even though we're now, I think, seeing some of the lagging indicators of the pandemic. We've noticed across the church, and I don't know, this might not be true in IK, but I think it is, that people returning to in-person worship has not been as robust as pre-pandemic levels. But we did find out also that we were able, within a few weeks, even some congregations that still have an answering machine, which if you were to call them today, would have given you the Holy Week and Easter schedule, that you were able to find ways to make sure that the gospel was heard quickly. We went from putting our cell phones on music stands to really some sophisticated ways and productions. And I think if you're like the rest of the church, you're probably still doing some sort of hybrid like that, so people can still hear the gospel. The amazing thing is, not amazing, maybe we should have known this and can learn from this, that people who would never set foot in one of our buildings physically are attending online, that they feel somehow that that's a safe place or a safe way to engage. I don't know what that's going to mean in the future. I haven't figured that one out. So if you had questions, I'm not the one to answer that. I think we'll have to answer that together. But I want to show you a little bit, and I think Pastor Fugate, you can put up if you can, oh good, they don't let me near technology at the office. It's not a good thing. In fact, when they first taught me to tweet, I would write out the tweet and then count out every character in space and then would send it before I understood that, in fact, there's a gadget on your phone that'll let you do that. So just to say many words of thanks. Mission support during the pandemic. Are we all set, Dan? Okay. For the first 2 years remained at pre-pandemic levels, and in some cases higher. Now we're seeing that that's diminishing. We're not sure what that means. Maybe we're skittish about the economy, but still people are being generous, and your synod is no different. As you can see, $645,260 from your synod that you shared with the rest of the church in order that we could do the ministry that we believe that the Lord is calling us to do. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Next slide, please. We have been working on, and I don't know what iteration this is, but I think this one has gathered the wisdom of past attempts to try to understand really how we can be rooted in our tradition, but radically relevant, because the gospel is always relevant. It just, how do we make sure that we're communicating that? Luther had no problem using the technology of his day, including the printing press and other technologies, to make sure that the Lutheran witness to the gospel would become alive for people. We're trying to do the same thing. And so Future Church, which now we've been working on this and implementing it for 2 years, so we have to think of a new name, but I think God's Love Made Real is what we're really trying to do, has been engaged across this church. And in fact, I will have a chance to meet with campus ministry people to see how we can partner with them next Friday, how we can partner with them in order to they are already with new, young, diverse people, but we need everybody to work on this. And here's the vision: a world experiencing the difference God's grace and love in Christ make for all people and for creation. When I ask people, or when people are asked, what's unique about the Lutheran movement, we're very quick to say grace, and we're right to say that. Now, Lutherans might be the least likely to accept grace, but at least we know that that's the liberating message. So we want people to know this. This is not the message that people are getting, I would say, certainly not in secular culture. It's really, you have to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, though many of us don't have boots, nor boots with straps, but this notion that the individual really has to be able to make it or break it by him, her, or their self. No. By virtue of baptism, we're all one body. So a world experiencing the difference God's grace and love in Christ make for all people in creation is our vision that we want to share. And we'd say the purpose of the church is to ask the Spirit to activate each of us so more people know the way of Jesus and discover community, justice, and love. That's what we're really looking for here. And then we have these priorities. We're a welcoming church, engaging new, young, and diverse people. We're a thriving church rooted in tradition and radically relevant. And we're a connected, sustainable church. And we're raising the bar together. This is just not the effort of your bishop and his office and his staff, nor is it the sole responsibility of individual congregations, nor of churchwide, but together, because together we have a far greater reach out into the world than if we were just to say this has to be the work of one single component or entity of the church. Next slide, please. Okay, God's love made real. So we've partnered, or are partnering still, with the Barna Research Group. And we're really trying to get a picture of not only of who we are now, but in particular, who are those people who are not yet experiencing God's grace and the difference that makes for them and for creation. And we think we know what Gen Z, I find out my grandsons are Gen Alpha, which is amazing to me since I'm a baby boomer. But what are these people, what gives them a sense of purpose and meaning and belonging? So we're working on that. We're doing actual research on that, as well as research on how you as members of congregations, agencies, institutions, you are all engaging these people. So we're doing a number of surveys, and there will be one coming to every rostered minister in the next year. But also we'll be having listening sessions to hear what's actually happening. When we think we know what's going on and we really don't, it's not productive. But your thoughts, your ideas, your hopes, your dreams are essential to our work together. As I said before, this is all of us on a mission, not just any one entity. Okay, next slide. We are already engaged in the world. Sadly, we have been experiencing many disasters, some of them natural, some of them human caused, and this church is incredibly generous. $23 million, over $23 million has been offered by members of this church in order to help others in need around the world. And $326,624 from the Indiana, Kentucky Synod. So we're helping still in Ukraine. We're helping with the earthquake in Syria and Turkey, where there have been wildfires. We're working on that. As we know, we have just entered the hurricane season, so we're doing work on that. So thank you for your generosity and for pitching in for this. We respond pretty quickly after a disaster, but then also we stay there until the job is done. So we're still working after Hurricane Sandy, and in fact, after Hurricane Katrina, we are still helping those people down in Louisiana. Thank you for that. Next slide, please. Now you can see, oh, that box pop up, go away. Not you, I was talking to my computer. So here we are helping folks in Ukraine. Actually, we work with the neighboring, the Lutheran churches in neighboring countries to receive the refugees. So we're active in Poland, Hungary, Romania, Slovenia, Moldova, as these people are coming across the border. Right now, there are over 100 million displaced people, either internally displaced or have fled their own homes in other countries. This is more than at any time in recorded history that these many people have been fleeing for their lives. But here we are helping each other. And I bet you didn't know we had a Lutheran church in Slovenia. There you have it. We even got a Lutheran congregation in Dublin, Ireland, but they're not, well, they're probably participating. Okay, next slide, please. There you are. The staff that we're working with, particularly in the Ukraine crisis, Eastern Europe crisis, are Ukrainian. Our clients are Ukrainian. And we know also that we, as the Lutheran World Federation and the ELCA, in partnership with them and these member churches, are particularly concerned about refugees of color who were studying in Ukraine, and may not necessarily be the first to receive service. So we're making sure that they, along with everyone else, are receiving service. We're also able, by our disaster response, to give respite care to the pastors in Ukraine. Their bishop said, you need to stay here. The people need pastoral care. But that's hard. And so we're able to provide respite care for them so that they can go back to their parishes and communities and serve. Really, it's amazing. So thank you. Next slide. Oh, my goodness, Dan, you're like Radar O'Reilly. Very good. ELCA World Hunger to date, almost $20,000 and $20 million, sorry. And $274,000 from the IK Synod. From time to time, your bishop, along with other bishops, and I have a chance to advocate on Capitol Hill. We're not lobbyists because we don't have any money to give to people, but we want to advocate to speak to these things that we believe God is calling the church to do, particularly as we take a look at Matthew 25. If you're when I was hungry, you fed me. When I was naked, you clothed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me drink, etc. So I was in a senator's office, and actually the actual senator was there. A lot of time it's their aides with whom we speak. But when I told him that we, it's compared to the government, it's not much, but we raise $20 million a year for hunger projects throughout the United States and the world, he was impressed, and it was a he. But that's what we do. We start at zero every year, and this is truly a faith-based budget, and God motivates our church and you to be generous. for the work that we do. Unique for us is, yes, of course, when we need to give immediate emergency food aid, we are able and mobilized to do that. But we also want to promote and help people attain sustainability. So what farming practices can they learn that will make them sustainable? What microloans can we give out of ELCA World Hunger that will increase their income so they can send their children to school? So it's immediate relief, but also ongoing work. So the people whom we are trying to serve have a sense of dignity and sustainability. So thank you for your generosity. Very good. Here are some of the people we help. This will make us blush because Lutherans don't like to hear about praise, but we have here a person saying that she's proud to be a member of this church. This person who is always giving and also receiving. Next slide. So here you see what I was talking about, sustainability. How do we make it possible so that people don't have to live on the edge all the time? And please notice the cross that this woman is wearing. So she's also now has her own business where she can sell some of her produce. In a lot of countries in the world, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa and Asia, you have to wear uniforms when you go to school, and you have to buy the uniforms. And if you can't, or find shoes, you can't go to school. And so just those basic necessities, people are now able to do that because of work that you're doing. Thank you. Next slide. Fund for Leaders. This has been a marvelous program. We're pretty old now. We've got hundreds, literally hundreds of Fund for Leaders scholars out there. We had our first actually Fund for Leaders Scholars Baccalaureate back in the spring. But it does what this pastor is saying it does. It takes away the constant grinding worry of, will I have enough money to go to school? And will I be able to answer the call given to me? And we know that the Fund for Leaders is in fact making it possible for people to go to seminary. And we've just expanded it this year to teen candidates, theological education and emerging ministries, so that they can, for the classwork that they need to do, that could also be funded. We already have scholarships, particularly for those going into federal chaplaincy, which, if any of you are considering that, I would urge you to do that. We used to have about 500 federal chaplains, most of them in the military, and now we're down to about 125 chaplains. I had the opportunity to meet with the chief chaplains of the services in the Pentagon, and they just are so grateful for ELCA, for Lutheran chaplains, because we're formed as pastors, and we are willing to serve everyone, and not just those with whom we agree. So it's a wonderful possibility. We also have chaplains in the Veterans Administration and in federal prisons. Thank you. Next slide. Here we go. Here's a quote. When we support leaders financially, when we launch them into their first call debt-free, when we put the weight of the whole church behind them and we say, you are called, we are setting people up for success. So it's a marvelous program. International Women Leaders. We found that when we would provide scholarships for people from our companion churches across the Lutheran World Federation, most often they would nominate men. Well, we'll still fund those scholarships, but we wanted to make sure that women could be funded. And this is for undergraduate work mostly. And so we set up this program and now have graduated 3 classes from our international women leaders who attend one of our ELCA colleges or universities. And then they go home and are serving their communities. Some as called leaders in the church, they're pursuing that, but many as leaders in the community, in economics, in teaching, other roles. we had one scholar who said when she went home on break after her first year of school to Madagascar, she said that she found that younger girls were looking at her and saying, if she can do this, I can do this, which is not automatically in the imagination of young girls around the world. So thank you for that work and the work that continues. Here we have one graduate. I'm very, very grateful for the sponsors of IWL. I just want to let you know that your support is literally changing lives. It has changed my life. I'm not the same person I was 4 years ago when I came here. I am really, truly grateful and blessed to be part of this. Next slide. Just one more thing about international women leaders. We find also that the communities of the colleges and universities where they attend, that they are also enriched and they change by encountering and working with and embracing these international scholars. Yes, we still have missionaries. We had to call a lot of our personnel home during the height of the pandemic, but we still continue our work with our partners around the world. We have 24, as you can see, 24 new missionaries in 54 countries around the world. We don't have numbers yet for 2023 because we're still in 2023, but we're still out there with an accompaniment model. Not that we're going to go and somehow impart wisdom and knowledge that they don't have, but that in fact, we're going to walk alongside them and learn from each other. And in fact, some cases, some of the churches have sent missionaries back to the US to help us in our own efforts. Next slide. There we are. Okay. So we're in Japan. You can see this, you can read for yourself. I don't want to burden you with that, but we do that work there all over the world. Okay. I was just with Rachel Eskison. She's in the brown jacket at the end of the far, or sort of the middle of the slide. She's our Europe desk and works with congregations and churches throughout Europe. She's here now in Poland, where this fall, this September, the Lutheran World Federation will hold its assembly. So, and she's also there celebrating the ordination of Halina Radic. The first 9 women were ordained in the Evangelical Lutheran Church in Poland this past year or last year. So a joyful celebration, and you are there by virtue that Rachel Eskison is there as well. Okay. Young Adults in Global Mission, a marvelous program. We had gotten to the point pre-pandemic where we sent nearly 100 young adults. But when the pandemic came, we had to bring them all home. And also with changes in visa requirements, there's some countries that we cannot work in anymore. But we're starting the program back up. We had 24 folks in 2022. And it's a marvelous experience where people, young folks, have a chance, usually right after college and before they launch into graduate study or seminary or the workforce or vocational training, whatever there's going to be their next step. They can take this year. They live very simply, and they with the folks and serve for 1 year in global mission. And in many cases, it transforms them as much as any transformative work they're able to accomplish while they're in these various countries. I am particularly grateful to this program. My daughter, Rebecca, served in Bath, England, and her now husband, Michael, served in Soweto, South Africa. They met during orientation. Yesterday was their 12th wedding anniversary, and I've got 2 grandsons because of this. So I support Young Adults in Global Mission. Okay, here we go. You can see we're in Senegal. Okay. All right. We're also active planting new starts in various configurations or various ways that these things can pop up, from very traditional new starts where there's a lot of knocking on doors, meeting in gyms or other places until the congregation is ready to build, to dinner churches, I think we have some that are like, what is it? Beer, brats, and the gospel or something like that, but just creative ways, finding ways where we can engage with people where they are so that they can be receiving the message of the transformative power of the grace that we've experienced in Jesus Christ. And so you can see the new starts and of those approved. Right now, we're starting a study to take a look at all of our congregations and new starts under development to see what's really working and what needs to be changed, or what new ideas we can gather as we're working. The old model where you went and knocked on doors, met in the gym, and then after 3 years became formed yourself as a congregation, were self-sustaining. That's not going to be the case in a lot of places anymore. It's not how the world works. So we want to understand what is going on, and so that we can be more effective. Okay. There you see us. Now let's find Indiana. There, see, you've got a whole bunch. Ooh, you went too fast. Go back to the map. There you go. So you're active, engaged in new starts as well. So thank you for your work with that. Let me see. Excuse me. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So you've got, this is a really interesting one, which I would never have expected in Indiana, Kentucky, but there it is. The Mara congregation, which are Burmese refugees, I understand, right, Bishop? I mean, they're in Indiana, Kentucky, Indiana, the crossroads of America, and Kentucky. You have this Burmese community who want to be part of the Lutheran movement. It's just amazing. So thank you, and thank you to Amy Beitelshees Albers, who is working also in So Much More Ministries, which is a food truck ministry, really see a unique way of forming community, and also for Christ Lutheran Chapel. So thank you for your new starts, and I hope you, along with the rest of the church, will support these ministries. Okay. Okay. That's a pretty busy slide, but we're trying to demonstrate or illustrate those who are serving and where people are serving. So you can see that by the various colors. Yes, education, healthcare, parish ministry, relationships, and regional representatives. So we're out there in the world, and you can see where that is. Okay. Okay, the Commission for a Renewed Lutheran Church. This is, we had the CNLC, this Commission for a New Lutheran Church, which met during the 80s, and the culmination was the ELCA, and that was a process that brought the LCA, the ALC, and the AELC into one denomination, the ELCA. This is a slightly different approach. Bishop Jim Dunlop from Lower Susquehanna had an idea that maybe, particularly in light of how rapidly technology is changing the world and the effects of the pandemic, that maybe it was just time for us to look at our governance and say, can we be more effective? And so we formed the Commission for a Renewed Lutheran Church. Those people will be meeting in July, as you can see there, for their very first meeting. One thing it taught me is that there's an embarrassment of riches in our people in this church. 400 people applied to be part of the CRLC, and all of them had just amazing resumes and a desire to serve the church. we had to whittle that down to 35. It was not an easy process, but yes, Don Smith, we will make sure we do that. Can you see that also, Dan and Bishop Cuffian? You've got 1, 2, 3 right now for new starts. Anyways, for this Commission for a Renewed Lutheran Church, we'll see what the spirit, where the spirit will lead us. The people represent all geographical regions, all genders, all different theological positions, but we're bound as one by baptism, and these people have an intense desire to serve the church. So stay tuned. Rostered Ministers Gathering. If you haven't signed up, we're still taking registrations. This will be our second. It was delayed because of the pandemic, but this will be our second. In Phoenix, I know in July, that seems sort of counterintuitive, but hey, the hotel rates are much better in Phoenix in July than they are in Phoenix in January. So please sign up for that. It's a chance for us to not only to learn more, there are various educational, thanks, good, various educational possibilities, but also just a chance to talk and reconnect with seminary friends and each other. So we're looking forward to that. And I will bring my Mr. Bill with me that I was flying into my suitcase in the ad. Okay. Then also we are having a youth gathering. So it'll be in New Orleans in next year, July 16th through the 20th. We're excited about this. We were not able to do this during the pandemic. And then when we thought the pandemic was mostly over, people were still reluctant to come into large groups, but we're moving ahead with this. So stay tuned for that. And the registration, as you see, will open in September the 15th. Great experience. Okay, thank you to your DEM, Director for Evangelical Mission, Nancy Nyland. Oh, thanks. There you go. Can people see this in chat? New starts in Indiana, Kentucky Synod include Mara went away now. Mara Evangelical, So Much More, and Christ Lutheran Chapel. But she's the person to talk to, and she will fill you in on whatever information you need. Okay, get rid of that. Next slide, if there is one. Okay, we're back. So that's like sort of a whirlwind tour of the work we do as the church and the ways that you participate in that and make it possible. We depend on you in Indiana, Kentucky, not only to be tending the Lord's vineyard in your part of the vineyard, but to be raising up the gospel because the rest of us can't be there. So thank you for your faithfulness. And then I think now, I hope I have not gone too far over my timeline. I think not, but now it's time for the Synod Assembly video. And thank you so much for the invitation to be with you.